Here we are at Basingstoke, May the 9th, Saturday, 1:30. Along the platform.
1337 Southwest train service to Salisbury. Calling at Overton, Whitchurch, Andover, Greatly and Salisbury. Customers for Westbury and Bristol.
Bye for now. Taking some film Saturday evening in Kent of our campsite.
In early May 2009, I visited Hungary for a project with the European Union's Conservation Network and Butterfly Conservation to survey butterfly migration behaviour in the Agtelek National Park with about 12 other people in a similar situation to myself, Nigel Spring and his girlfriend, and 3 or 4 Hungarian lepidopterists. About a year before we went to Hungary, the group that was to go met at a location in central Dorset, quite near Sherborne, to get to know each other, to talk about the project, to look at the kind of heathland, scrubland that we would encounter in Hungary.
I'm not that
and
big.
That was a very successful occasion.
Right.
We all met first outside the railway station in Basingstoke, where Nigel Spring, 12 other people and the white van were waiting. We then drove to a campsite in Kent, where, because I didn't have a tent, I was lent a rather spacious tent and spent a rather uncomfortable first night of the trip.
Hi there. Just leaving Dover, Sunday, May the 10th, 8:30 in the morning.
The next day we set off at 7 a.m. to Dover, arrived about 1.5 hours early, had a coffee, then took a rather uneventful trip across the channel to Calais, and then we arrived quite shortly after, drove across France, Belgium and into Germany. We drove down the Autobahn along the banks of the Rhine. We drove down through Germany towards the border with Austria, stopped at a village, Dreifelder, where there was a very pleasant, spacious cafe with various stuffed animal heads, wild boar, mustelid on the walls above the seating area.
Did you get a film from your writing in the minibus?
No, I needed to wipe it with a special cloth.
That's the problem when it's so humid and cold. You get the camera out, it gets covered with mist.
Yeah.
Anyway, cheers, Richard.
Cheers. An imaginary.
The driver.
Yeah, that's the shot, isn't it?
They were a nice bunch of people and we quickly became friends. We stayed the night at the location of the cafe and it began to rain through the night into the following morning. Set off at about 8 a.m, drove across southwest Germany, pitched our tents in the evening at a village a few miles inside the German-Austria border. We drove through a thunderstorm to get there in the evening.
It's 20 to 8, Monday the 11th of May 2009, about 20 to 8 in the evening. Here's our campsite just inside the German border of Austria, a few miles inside. It's been atrocious weather today.
It was a wooded, stony area with a gravel path running up a gentle slope, spread over about 300 or 400 yards, and it was a calm evening.
Quite a large campsite.
Everything was going well.
And that's my tent.
I went to bed, read for a while, and a distant clock struck 10 p.m. The next day we drove across Austria and into Hungary, where we reached a hostel cum restaurant cum museum at about 4:30 after driving through farmland and small towns. There's a rather luxurious museum with stuffed birds of prey, spacious hallways and locations for food and drink. I admired a bittern and a pine marten, went out in the evening with moth traps, and went to bed about 11 p.m.
It's the morning of Wednesday, May the 13th, 2009. Here is the weather station.
I've been interested in meteorology since the age of about 10 when I lived in Hong Kong. We used to plot tropical cyclones on a map, longitude and latitude, map of the South China Sea as these typhoons approached Hong Kong. Then I had a weather station in my back garden in Wiltshire in my teenage years, and I've been interested in meteorology ever since. I never thought I'd find myself in a grassy field in Hungary trying to negotiate my way across the grassland towards the weather station.
And I come to a fence, so I have to stop.
But I wasn't going to let a little thing like a fence stop me. So I went the long way round and got mildly diverted filming an attractive snail.
And now for another look at the weather station.
My perseverance paid off, and I soon found myself walking along a grassy path towards the weather station. This weather station in a remote area of central northern Hungary was amazingly well stocked for a country that is not amongst the top league of European economies, and also the fact that it was basically in the middle of nowhere as far as I was concerned.
Which I'm now walking around. That's a sunshine recorder. And this is an anemometer.
I then looked across the broad flat marshes before we resumed our journey. This was the last leg of our journey. We arrived at the hostel in the Agtelek National Park when it was nearly dark and set up our tents on the lawn next to the hostel. That night we set up the moth traps again. The next morning when we examined our catch, it included this magnificent giant peacock moth, also known as the giant emperor moth. It is related to the small emperor moth, and incidentally the only species that is found in Britain. Like all silk moths, they do not feed as adults, and after they are procreated they are either eaten by something else or starved to death. We caught many other species of moth, mainly noctuids of various types. Later that day we went out into the countryside, looked at the wildflowers, and for the first time saw the fritillaries we had come here to study. We had learnt all about the differences between the different species, but there was a world of difference between seeing the picture of the creature in the book and it flittering in front of you. Whilst we were out we saw a gravid female sand lizard, one of a few we saw throughout the entire time in Hungary. These species are very rare in England, and it was great to see one in Hungary. The next day we went to look at some caves. We spent about an hour in the cave complex, which was surprisingly thorough, surprisingly complex, and observed a few very tiny white grub-like insects, and then emerged relieved into the sunlight. The caves were a Soviet-era ironworks, complete with original railway, railings, excavation locations, now converted into a tourist site.
This is a village in the national park, near a cave complex.
We explored the area around the disused mine, an area of thick undergrowth deciduous trees,
No.
overhanging the dilapidated outbuildings of the mine, split into groups of 2 or 3. I was struck by how isolated the location was, how rather gloomy and sad, and I was imagining how the miners must have felt about 20 years before, walking into the mine, being underground in that rather gloomy subterranean world for the day, then coming out in the evening.
That hollow is a path we just walked up from. It took us about 5 minutes.
I noticed some interesting fungus halfway up a tree.
We are now looking at some fungus species,
We're looking at, but there's also nuthatches and their babies.
plus nuthatches and babies on top.
I don't know, but they're squeaking. Oh yeah. He's there.
Kathy,
Woodpecker.
what species of fungus is this?
It's a horse's hoof.
Sorry?
Horse's hoof fungus.
This is a horse's hoof fungus.
Horse's hoof.
Tinderbox.
Oh look, Richard.
Right.
There's the woodpecker just there.
There were quite a few smallish but very dark looking cavities under the roots of trees,
It's always impressive.
where there were wild flowers and the occasional lizard heard scuffling in the undergrowth, going back to its home. And then we walked on, climbing up a surprisingly steep hill through the forest. It took me quite a while to climb up the hill, and I tended to lag behind at the back, behind the others, being very unfit.
Group of us walking up the hill. Near the top of the hill now. Some snails. Hurrah, the top! Some rather ugly buildings.
These are more bits of the Soviet-era ironworks, and they are as ugly and depressing as you would expect from Stalinist-era architecture. I was surprised to notice vegetation growing out of the concrete slab at the ironworks, the highest point in the area, several kilometres around. The view from the ironworks was pretty amazing. Nearly, I think, 360-degree view around that part of the national park. The weather was overcast and gloomy with a light drizzle, which seemed fitting for the post-industrial landscape I was walking through.
What was this place?
They're mining.
Mining iron. They're mining iron here. This is called a spurge. It has milkiness in it. And it can cure warts, is that right?
Yeah, perhaps not this particular variety
Right.
of this
Did
family.
I hear the golden oriole?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
So there we have it.
Yeah?
An interesting cloud formation from the top of the ironworks.
What makes that cloud formation, Richard?
I'm not sure, I'll think about it. Perhaps something called an inversion.
A temperature inversion is when cloud is trapped below a layer of warmer air, stopping the cloud from rising.
There are some interesting fungal circles or something here. Don't know if you can see them. Top of the hill looking down at an angle of about 45 degrees.
These, of course, were what used to be called fairy rings. So called because rustics believed fairies would gambol around these rings to their heart's content, rather like late 20th century clubbers. As we approached the high meadow, there were more and more butterflies to be seen. Here we have some silver-studded blues, a rarity in Britain, and it was exciting to see them. But the best was yet to come.
This is another Richard looking at butterflies.
One of the team caught a splendid male sand lizard, resplendent in his breeding colours.
Well, what you could try doing is, once you've got a couple of seconds of the video on him, we'll just drop him on the floor and he might sit there for a little bit before he runs away. Should we try that? And then you get a shot rather than through the net.
Yes, okay.
Just try.
This is a lizard. Okay.
Let's pop him down. There he goes. He'll probably run like hell as soon as he's out.
Oh, got a brief shot.
And through the magic of technology, we can slow the film down so there's just enough time to see it. There you go.
That's Linda. Very good, yeah.
Now you're going to do one, David.
That's David and that's Rachel. This is Monday the 17th?
No, Monday the 18th.
Monday the 18th of May 2009.
And where are we? Near, what's that name?
I can't,
But do a view.
yeah, I'm going to pan around, yeah.
Yeah, pan around.
Oh, and get the nice purple flowers, because that's quite rare, Richard.
Where the pepper?
Well, these, if you get the drift.
Yeah.
See the drift of those over
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What was it? Purple what? Purple. Dragon's head, I think?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Purple dragon's head.
Yeah, it was.
When he was leaning on the gate, he was like,
And that is Richard and Kathy.
staring at his bum, and I couldn't help it. To go to the farm dressed like that as well, I found awfully odd. Oh, what upset me as well.
I think they're supposed to be massive to expect a Hungarian food.
Not like that, surely.
It was a little bit massive. I've probably lost change.
Monday afternoon again, looking for butterflies, recording them on a gently facing slope. Much of the countryside around here looks like this. And we're coming out day by day now, 4 or 5 hours a day, to look for and record any butterflies we can find. Some people have found up to about 30 different species. And today we're particularly looking for the Queen of Spain fritillary, but I don't think anybody's found any yet. Time is about 10 past 11. Having lunch in about 45 minutes. We're all walking in 50-metre stretches, roughly rectangular shaped piece of ground, and it's all going very well. This group of 3 people are, from left to right, Nigel, who's in charge of the whole group, his partner Kathy in the middle, and Big Richard on the right, as big as in older than me.
Back a page. Spotted. So, it's very spotted, isn't it? So we have crescents on there. Do we?
Well, that looks right to me. That looks like a didymar.
Can't find it now.
Do you think that's reasonable to say? Actually, I mean, I was always taught. My father always taught me not.
This is a lark's nest.
We put the bird up, didn't we?
That is amazing.
Get down on the ground.
For me, the highlight of the whole trip was observing the behaviour of the different species of butterfly, whether it was courting, mating behaviour, or gatherings of large numbers of butterflies in one small area. On May the 19th, as we were all passing through the village of Sin in the minibus, on the way to fields above to record butterflies and plants with Roland, we spotted a sight probably not seen in the United Kingdom for many years. A swarm of about 1,500 silver-studded blue butterfly, Plebeius argus, on the north side of the road, feeding on minerals. The swarm was about 20 feet long by 3 feet wide, and the butterflies were all male. There had been a brief but heavy shower of rain at 10:05 a.m. that morning. The swarm was seen at about 2:30 p.m. and included one Adonis blue, Lysandra belagus.
I've never seen anything like this in my life.
No.
They must have all hatched. Are these all hatched, Nigel?
Well, no, they're still larvae.
No, seriously.
Jonathan,
Yeah,
Richard doesn't do irony, remember?
he does. He's got quite good on this holiday, I think.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Learning irony. Should we put that down as one
No.
of our targets?
I wasn't trying to be funny. I generally, because you said something about they hatch after rain.
Very valid.
He's saying
No,
that they
but
just
basically you just said have they
I think
hatched?
They've come in.
And I'm
Well,
saying
all
yes, of
around.
course.
Well, I know you're being ironic. You're being ironic. Yeah.
Because if they hadn't hatched,
to
they
this
wouldn't be here.
wet
would they?
He's saying
patch
have
of
they
mud.
just hatched?
Have they just hatched? In
Just
this?
on the muddy edge of the road, isn't it?
And under the gravel.
So if I laid, if we,
Tim,
Yeah.
his leg in it. Your
I run
arse is
over
in the way.
like ask.
No, wrong Tim. Only leg, actually. His leg was in the way.
I hope my camera doesn't go wrong.
Tim's was in Rachel's view. Well, through my binoculars. It's a close up. But actually, I only have his legs. So. It's just really cool.
It's amazing. I've never seen this before.
My batteries to run out.
Roland's going to be like, what's happened?
I've got spare ones in the van. Maybe I should sort those out.
I cannot believe it. I've never seen this many butterflies all at once.
Right.
These are all mosquitoes, you don't be going in.
Well, mosquitoes bite you. And they drink your blood.
Yeah.
They're landing on you, Tim.
I'll get my shadow.
Yeah, this patch has been run over. I bet it's Roland.
Why do you think they're all here like this?
Just the mud, I think.
Drinking.
They love it, don't they?
Okay. Oh yes, good. Okay, back in the bus if you wouldn't mind.
Aww.
That was lovely.
Don't drive over them, Roland.
What will we do if we will not see little blue because or
They're all here.
John's gonna love this.
Jó, én valószínűleg ezt fogom csinálni.
the work of recording the different species carried on. One of the team caught an Episcopalian snake. It was named after the Greek god Aesculapius, because these snakes were encouraged around his temples. And even today, the international sign for a doctor is a staff with 2 snakes entwirled around it.
Was it a good experience?
Yeah.
Did
He's learned to striking, isn't he?
No. Well, you'd be pretty fed up if you'd been caught in a net like that.
Yes.
Poor thing.
Happy.
I'm not poking it.
How did you catch it? In your net?
And as yet unidentified blue butterfly, May 22nd.
It turned out to be a Mazarine blue, a butterfly which became extinct in England about 100 years ago. We walked through a meadow with our nets in small groups, mainly looking for the fritillaries that we had marked on their wings in order to possibly catch a few hours later to see their migrating behaviour over a few square miles of open meadow. One person on the group observed the Phoebe and Telona trying to mate. This is particularly interesting as they are 2 different species. And also apparently marsh fritillary butterfly caterpillars can survive underwater. Occasionally one of the team would catch a butterfly that we had marked and released earlier.
Kathy, can you help us? What do you think about this letter? I can't read it. Maybe 29. The number is 29, maybe. But I can't read the letter.
One evening about halfway through the trip, we set some nets up near a stream late in the evening and caught a few bats, one of which was a Dorbenton's.
Dorbenton's bat.
Dorbenton's.
Leg, the connection. Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
The size Doesn't Dorbenton's have hairy feet? Yes, it has. It has got hairy. Yes.
What is he, John?
So this is a Dorbenton's, but it's really small. I've never seen one that.
Which is the water bat. Particularly likes water. Well, it particularly feeds over water.
Can you show them the tail, please?
Yeah.
But this bit, actually, this bit between the legs, where the tail is attached to, is actually used for catching insects. So they can actually wrap insects up inside there as they're flying. And you can actually sometimes, some bats will catch something, fly to a perch, and sit there and munch it, while other bats will actually literally eat out of their own crutch
As they fly. Yeah.
So it has a relatively large leg.
That's much sweeter than the last bats.
His head is lopsided.
Very distinguishing
yes.
mark is a relatively long and pointed tragus. And
can you just explain what the tragus is? Because I don't think everybody knows.
No,
it's a thing within the ear.
This small, how can I say?
John said it's the bit that he's got pierced in his ear.
On Jonathan. Which is missing the Rhinolophus species. I never eat out of my own crutch.
Fabulous.
So calm, isn't it?
I've never seen this before.
Yeah, usually just calm stuff. Calm, you know, settled,
peaceful.
Relaxed, yeah.
Not as aggressive as the
Well, can I release
Of course, yes.
doesn't want to go.
It's nice and warm in your hand.
a long tail?
You can hear him.
Yeah.
You can hear him.
Bad-tempered little devil.
What is it?
Serotonin.
How do you use scientific name?
Az micsoda magyarul?
Kései, de nevél kései.
So you get these in the UK, do you?
Yep, used to have them in our house.
You have this.
He's amazing.
They like hanging tiles and things like that on the sides of buildings.
Oh, you're so cute. Has he got a tail?
Yes, he has got a tail.
Can you sex that one, Shandor?
It's a female. My male.
You've got the sound effects too.
I hope it's working, the sound effect.
Not quite so velvety as perhaps a nocturnal.
Sandor, if you were aging, if you were trying to find its age, how would you do that? By ringing or just by looking? You
can.
They put clips in their wings.
Yeah, it's not very good.
The ossification of joint can be good. During the post-weaning, but until the early mating season. But later, it's not possible to determine the age. So you can make a difference between a 2 or a 3 years old bats. Can I release that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Might dive straight in somebody's neck.
But this very old.
Well, sorry.
Sorry.
She looks very...
Sorry. Keep up into
Can you hear it?
Sorry, Richard.
What?
Like a ghost.
Coming out of the bed.
Oh, it's a ghost, yeah.
Completely different from
The day after the bat survey, we drove to a site where storks were being electrocuted on electricity pylons or telephone poles, and the project was to construct nests out of bits of twig and wood to resemble those which they would make themselves if they had the wits about them. So that is what we did.
This is lovely. Is this agatelic?
We constructed a total of 4 storks' nests. Around the immediate area, which is near a rubbish dump, I saw a frog and a dead slowworm cut in half. In the afternoon we went round some museums where there were old bottles and paintings. We also went into an old church.
Constructing the stork's nest.
And so we drove back to the hostel for another night's moth trapping. And in the morning it was back to the serious business of butterfly surveying.
Here we go. This is the true to life documentary.
Yeah.
Which is filming it as it is.
Live. We don't know where we are, but we're live.
On a big hill in Hungary.
Yeah.
On location.
This track bisects fields to the left and right where there are butterflies, but in fact there are very few today. May the 21st. Time is about 11:30. Just panning off the path now. probably be the last video footage I do on this trip. Well, I've already done about 2 hours worth. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, the railway.
So far as a naturalist, the trip had been fascinating, but until now there had been nothing of cryptozoological importance, but that was about to change. At the beginning of the 20th century, there was an animal in this part of Hungary called the reed wolf. It was allegedly a small race of the grey wolf, smaller and darker. It had been hunted to extinction by the time of the First World War. Now it appeared that jackals had colonised the same marshes. They too were darker than they should be, and the locals called them reed wolves.
Okay, Adam.
Yes.
Can you tell me about the appearance and length and height of the jackal,
Yeah.
please?
Length 60 or 105 centimeters.
Yeah. And how high?
Height 40, 45.
40. Okay. It's red colour.
Yes.
Okay. And are any other photographs or skin available from Hunter?
Yes.
Okay. And how many? What is the how many of these jackals are in Hungary? Do you think?
I don't know. 2002 years. Hunting showed.
Yeah.
Jackal is number. What I had 75.
75 individual.
Yes.
Hello, it's Wednesday, May the 27th. Time is about roughly 11:30, well 11ish. This might be my last recording in Hungary. So I'm just going to take a walk around the grounds of the hostel that I've been staying in. Here we go. There's a small bridge over a little ditch, and I'm now walking to the moth trap site and the camping site where we all camped about a week or two ago. That white van is where we came from Kent, and we're using it every day. So far, I'm now walking to the bottom of the garden, over another little bridge, wood house, dormitory block. This is the entrance to the hostel. I'm now walking out of the entrance. Here's the driveway going away from the hostel, past the barrier, panning from left to right, across grassy patch, driveway away towards Josvafa and Zin. Here's the entrance. This is a corridor leading to room 5, which is my room. If you can see, this is room 5. That's my bed. And that's all. This is in the station, Thursday, May the 28th, 9 o'clock roughly in the morning. This will be my final recording of the journey.
That's a good idea for us.
Thanks, sweetie Richard.
Thank you, Stevie. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, sweetie Tim.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm from. I think
Beneath the blue Hungarian skies, in search of bugs and butterflies, natural history calls, we must obey, over the hills and far away. Exploring the reed wolf's marshy haunt, Richard Muirhead's East European jaunt, cryptozoology calls, we must obey, over the hills and far away.